What do I say? Okay, stop a second, stop.
No, it's not recording.
You just keep recording.
Alright, but how are we going to introduce this?
Well, I see.
So the same as I would...
There's a huge board here, right? So our objective is to talk about what's on the board.
No! Whoa!
What did?
I thought we were like...
Like, what?
Dude.
You fucking, like, blew my fucking mind. dude.
Whoa, you like totally blew my mind, dude!
I hope you got that.
You fucking got it, dude. Hi there, my name is Arthur Lynch and I'm a coach here at City Gym Limerick, and this is Gar Ben. Say hello.
Hey.
Okay, and so in this instructional video we're going to talk about the resistance training specific rate of perceived exertion scale. The rate of perceived exertion scale, or RPE scale, is something that's been used for many decades and is nothing new to strength training. However, some recent research by Zourdos et al. And Helms et al. Has highlighted the usefulness of the scale for training for powerlifting, particularly when used in conjunction with percentage-based training.
I'm going to play someone who's completely ignorant, that has never even heard of this before, so people can get a lot more out of this. So the first question I'm going to ask Arthur is, what exactly is the RPE scale and how does it work?
RPE scale essentially is a guide that you use to rate the difficulty of a set of a particular exercise. The researchers in Zourdos et al. And Helms et al., what they did was they compared your rating of perceived exertion, so how hard you rated a set of a particular exercise on a scale of 1 to 10, and compared that against bar velocity. And what they found was that there was a strong inverse relationship between the velocity of the bar in the concentric portion of the lift, so on the way up, and the rate of perceived exertion. In layman's terms, what that means is the faster your bar speed, the lower your RPE is going to be, and the slower your bar speed, the higher your RPE is going to be. If we get to the scale itself, right, what we have is it's a 1 to 10 point scale, but for the purpose of training for powerlifting, we can pretty much disregard everything under an RPE of 6. Okay? I'm going to jump to the very top where we have a 10, right? So a 10 represents an absolute max effort, right? So if you imagine like a grinder of a deadlift third attempt at a meet, right? Where there's absolutely nothing more there, okay? That represents a 10. So absolutely no more weight could be added to the bar, okay? So now we move down to a 9.5. Now, then you'll see here, RIR. RIR stands for repetitions in reserve. So how many more reps in the tank had you after you completed a set of a particular exercise? For a 10, it's a 0, and for a 9.5, it's a 0. So we still couldn't have got another rep with that set weight, but a slight increase in the load was possible. So think of it like a difficult second attempt at a meet, okay? Then we move down to a 9. A 9 represents 1 repetition in reserve. Then we move down to an 8.5, 1 to 2 reps in reserve. And that is highly dependent on the individual. So some lifters are just able to grind out more heavy reps at 90-ish plus %. Others, not so much, okay? So it's up to the lifter or his or her coach to assess whether a lift is a true 8.5 representing 1 rep left in the tank or 2 reps left in the tank. Then we move down to an 8. An 8 represents 2 repetitions in reserve. So this is like a good opener at a meet, okay? So there's definitely, you could have done 2 more reps with that weight. Then we move down to a 7.5, and that gives you 2 to 3 reps left in reserve, okay? Then a 7 representing 3 reps in reserve, and then a 6 representing 4 repetitions in reserve.
Okay, so Arthur, next question for you. Who will be suited to using this sort of a scale?
What the research suggests is that for more untrained beginner lifters, it's not really appropriate because they're not good at gauging what an RPE actually is. An RPE is more useful for an intermediate or an advanced lifter and is best used when done in conjunction with percentage-based training, or if possible, if you have some way of determining bar velocity, okay, because that gives you a little bit more of an objective measure.
So what percentages correlate to RPEs, or what way would you set up a program? So you're a brand new lifter, or say you're an intermediate lifter, as you said. What way would I go about putting this into my programming?
So as a general guideline, a lifter could do, for example, a triple at 90%.
Yes.
Not every lifter, obviously, and the more advanced you are, the less and less likely that is. But for an intermediate lifter, that's entirely possible. Okay? So let's just say, for argument's sake, that they can get 3 reps at their 90%. Okay? And then some days it feels good, and they think, oh shit, I could have done a fourth. All right? So they might rate that as a 9, or perhaps even an 8.5. Okay? Other days, when they're not feeling so good, and 3 reps is definitely all they have, then you're closer to a 9.5 or a 10.
If you're working at 90%, are you doing that just for a triple or multiple sets? Would you do each single set? Would you RP it? Or RP the overall working sets?
So it depends. For example, one way that you might use it is that you might work up to an 8 RPE and then do back off sets with a set percentage of that RPE. With a set percentage, if the RPE recorded is higher, that might be the kind of day where you need to back off when it's just not there. Performance is not up to scratch on that particular day, so it's time to pull it back. Perhaps you're slightly overreached.
Terrible sleep, your food was bad,
exactly.
Coffee. Okay.
Yeah, and perhaps the risk for injury might be greater. So on those kind of days, you want to tone it back. But then once on other days when you're closer to like an 8, 7.5, they're the days to try to push it a bit heavier.